Good. I guess we're live already. Hopefully you can hear me. Will I hear myself? Wow, there is a long delay, huh? Or am I watching a past thing? Hello. Hmm. Hello. I'll turn on my light here. You can see me brightly. Take these glasses off. Are things working? Hello. I just see myself, and I was hoping I would hear myself coming through the Facebook Live. One watching. It says one watching. It could be me. It's probably me watching. All right, all right. So, oh look, I heard myself. There is a massive delay. So there's a massive delay. That's amazing. Okay, at least it's streaming through. That's good. Let's see if anybody turns up. We'll wait a few minutes. And my concept for sharing, I would like to like if there's only just one or two people on, um, you know, obviously we can have a discussion. It is a round table talk, um, but I also have some some video clips I would like to share actually, if if not, and then those are coming from um, a summit that I'm currently watching, and it's called Trailblazing Back to Our Roots. And there's a woman that's putting it on, and there's another woman who I just watched a presentation of yesterday, and she's also my teacher in astrology and in alchemy. I'm starting an alchemical journey with her as my guide. Her name's Jocelyn Starfeather, and the reason I'm mentioning her is because uh, she talks about what is the age of Aquarius, what does that mean, and it's a really wonderful presentation. I can just, uh, yeah, I may have some clips, but otherwise I can just share um, the link to it because it's fantastic. It really clarifies the mind about these times. The trick is if I'm finding things, then I don't see the zoom if somebody is trying to get on. So that's tricky. But it doesn't seem like anybody is. And then, so I'll just go to this. Uh, Here, let's go here. Um, well, you probably don't want to see all these things. Here, I'll go this way. This is the best way to get it. But in case there's, oh yeah, I wanted to check and see if there are any docs. All right, hold on. Google. This one. Perfect. because I have some help. Where'd it go? This is what I want. Yeah, there it goes. Short form videos. The Age of Aquarius. Beautiful. This is what I want to share. Trailblazing back to our roots.
Time of Aquarius. Like, what does this mean? How are we going to navigate these changes? And like, what is this bigger map showing us that we can kind of start to tap into?
Oh yeah, I'm also going to share my screen. That's the other part. I didn't do that yet. Share the screen. Boom. Okay, I got it all queued up now. This is what I want to share as an introduction to this topic, why it's called the Aquarian Renaissance Roundtable. And I haven't watched this yet, so let's discover it together. That's the whole ethos of what I want to create here is like a, a mutual discovery, a shared discovery. I'm not just trying to like share my message and teach. I'm inviting co-participation, co-creation, and that's the spirit of Aquarius. So let's discover.
In this time of Aquarius, like, what does this mean? How are we going to navigate these changes? And like, what is this bigger map showing us that we can kind of start to tap into?
Yes, so when we talk about the age of Aquarius, this is an actual astronomical event. Okay, this is an actual movement of the stars and planets into a certain position, which I'll explain in a minute. And this is now we're going into really big, vast cycles because these are 26,000 year cycles. To be exact, it's 25,920 year cycles.
Haha. Nice. All right. That's a short-term video that somebody who is helping me uh, made. That's an extract from this interview. And let's watch another one. Are you up for it? Take that as a yes.
The ancient people noticed that the planets move, at a pretty good rate. Like I said, Venus and Mercury go around the sun once a year, just as the Earth does. Mars takes a couple years to go around. Saturn takes 30 years to go around. And then there are the stars. All the other stars are pretty far out there in, beyond our solar system, out there in the galaxy. And so they noticed that these fixed stars move 1 degree every 72 years. Now, it's incredible that they notice this because 1 degree is a very small movement in the whole 360 degrees of the sky. And that's a whole human lifetime, essentially, 72 years. So,
Nice. Okay. These are little, bite-sized chunks of wisdom from Jocelyn Starfeather. And there's one more that we'll check out.
this is very much about honoring the uniqueness of every individual.
That's what we're here to do.
It's becoming really cool to be weird, they say, you do you, right? And it's like appreciate. It's like kind of an understated, but very appreciative, comment that's like, yeah, you wear your crazy clothes. It's all good. You do your makeup different than anybody else. It's all good. It's so interesting. And I think we're seeing this in the circles with our, healers and light workers as well. It's like we're realizing we can stand out with our gifts. We can stand out with our unique voice. We don't have to be afraid anymore to be different and unique. It's actually called for at this time. And really honoring one another in our gifts and our talents.
Cool. Yep, that kind of gives you a basic idea about what I want to do here with this roundtable. It's an opportunity for us to step into our unique, divine, empowered expression of who we're here to be, to share that, and to receive the sharing from others, and to grow from that experience together. It's about community, and it's about the beautiful, unique gifts that we all have to share. Now, there is powerful motivation once we get the word out enough and figure out the systems kind of to facilitate the people who are ready to participate in discussions like this. And there's others that are going on, of course. This is grassroots. It's an inside job. There's the great spirit is an all-powerful being that dwells at the center of the universe, and that center is everywhere, inside each one of us, and inside every being, and every blade of grass contains the entirety, right? That you may have heard this: you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean in a drop. And modern physics has mathematically demonstrated this reality of the hologram that the universe is, that every part contains the whole, and it's the miracle of of evolution and, I don't know, divinity, that is somehow possible, that this quantum realm is universally in communication with itself. And there is the world of Maya that we are experiencing ourselves as separate from other things, uh, but we do that as a game to learn, right? To develop unique perspectives, uh, to to grow. So maybe I'm preaching to the choir here, but maybe not. Maybe there's some new specs that you can pick up from this. And yeah, so the invitation is, is to step into a sharing, into greater sharing. So I'm invite that now. I saw you unmuted for a second, so maybe you want to say something. And if not, I will go on to share my other concepts. I didn't mention to you before. So my channels are called Law of the Earth, and the reason is because the law is a system of agreements, right? Well, there are different types of law. There's natural law, like gravity. So in the scientific method, scientists come up with a theory and then they try to demonstrate it. And if there's enough evidence and no counter evidence, then they can say it's a law, right? Eventually. Um, and so I spoke about alchemy. These are fundamental laws that are involved with alchemy, like that were laid down in ancient times by Hermes Trismegistus, with the emerald tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. And may think of these as two different beings. Antiquity, it's difficult to say, and there's many other names that this being is also known by, such as Quetzalcoatl, um, Mercury, um, many others, Kukulkan, and this is the claim to be the builder of the pyramids and the bringer of alchemical wisdom to the ancient land of Kem, which is modern day Egypt. And so in the Hermetic teachings about alchemy, there are fundamental laws such as, well, they're called the Hermetic principles. And so they are correspondence, as above, so below, principle of magnetism. We should actually just go and discover. Let's go and discover these together, if you can. Hold on, we're gonna look them up. Hermetic principles. They're written in the Kybalion. Here we are, a simplified version. Wow. We can check out this article. What are the 7 Hermetic principles? These I think of, as kind of fundamental laws that we need to know about things like gravity. Principle of mentalism. All is mind. The universe is mental. And interestingly, there's 7 of these, and we have 7 chakras. And there's a wonderful series on Gaia TV, which is called Initiation. And that's the teachings of Matias de Stefano, who is from Argentina. And he's, since the age of 12, had this amazing psychic awakening, remembering his past lives in ancient Egypt, ancient Atlantis, including also on other planets as extraterrestrial past lives, or you might think of them as parallel lives where, we're transcending, we are transcendent beings. So we have different aspects of ourself which exist in different time-space realities, and they converge in the spirit realm where our soul is. Our soul is like a drop of spirit that contains all the universe, like I said, from the ocean quote about how you are the ocean in a drop. And so anyway, some people among us, like Matias de Stefano, has this tremendous remembering of these teachings and of learning, going through initiatory processes in the mystery schools of ancient traditions, like in Egypt, and describing them. On programs we can check out, like the initiation show on Gaia. And so it's interesting in that show how he makes the association of these different principles to the to the chakras and two other aspects as well. As you know, like the different chakras hold different frequency wavelengths. And that's what this first principle is about, how everything is frequency. Like there's a quote from Nikola Tesla that said, think of the universe. If you want to understand the universe, think of it in terms of frequency and vibration, as our thoughts are. We are broadcasting through our thoughts, and also we are receiving. We are receiver, broadcaster, transmitters of mental energy in the form of frequency, in the form of sound and light. And there's also teachings about how sound comes before light. So these are fundamental laws for us to know about. I mentioned earlier the principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. So we know about how the energy that we hold inside is reflected in the world around. And, they call it the law of attraction, right? This is the same thing as correspondence. Like attracts like, right? All right, the principle of vibration, how nothing rests, everything moves and everything vibrates. Now, this is kind of like a repeat principle, isn't it? I mean, how well, we talk about mentalism as a thought. So I kind of made the jump in my mind between mentalism and vibration. And yeah, this is the type of thing that would be interesting to discuss with others. That's the reason I'm wanting to create these roundtable talks. And yeah, so it would be great to drum up some interest from folks out there to participate, to share their voice, to share their ideas. But let's go on to the fourth principle. So like these are first, and from I learned also from my teacher Christoph Melchizedek of the Neo-Shamanic Society. Oh look, here's Harlan. Hooray, somebody to play with. Harlan, are you there?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome. How are you doing?
Sorry I'm late. I had someone visiting. I met at
Oh,
the Conscious Life Expo.
oh, cool, cool. I saw you with Elizabeth. What was her
Yeah,
name?
April. I know, right? And
Yeah.
Sasha Stone. I'm working
Uh,
on getting Sasha Stone to come here to
wow.
Joshua Tree on his tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Epic.
I see you
Yeah,
have Talisa.
Talisa
Is
is staying here where I'm staying. Um,
ah
she's a wonderful Brazilian volunteer here, and she's showing us her face.
Hey, hello. I
wow.
don't know. There is some weird things in the internet, but here is I'm having a hard time here.
You're having a hard time hearing the voice? The oh
Yeah, but I think it's my computer, not the internet.
oh dang. I don't know, maybe try I'm not sure.
Okay, but yeah, I'm enjoying what I can hear because every time like I go down and come back, but it's okay.
Cool, cool. Yeah, so I was just going through kind of the Hermetic principles because I was talking about like how my channel is called Law of the Earth, and the reason behind that is, well, I was getting to that um, of sharing like that we are the living law of the earth, and we are divine beings, and these principles are something that's within us, and like initiation on Gaia. I was mentioning Matthias de Stefano teaching about how these hermetic principles are are corresponding with the chakras in the human body, and so that's where we're at the moment.
The
And oh, and I was
principle of polarity.
yeah. So
Oh, I'm definitely in polarity.
but I don't know if this is necessarily like in order because to me I think of the fourth one as rhythm. Like I would think of I think these guys just on this article they put them in a different order because polarity is more like the second chakra, um, right? It's two, it's duality. And so when you get up to number four, that's rhythm because that's the heart chakra. And uh, and so yeah, I was this article is unhelpful in that way, but I was just using it as a reference. Um, and then I was about to explain how the first three are dealing with like they're like the personal chakras, um, and then the fourth one is like a bridge, and this rhythm and this cycle and how we connect our personal creation and experience with the transpersonal, with the ancestral, with the transcendent of the upper chakras is through the rhythm of the heart. And so when that's like why the reason that shamanic drumming is transcendent for us because we're connecting with the rhythm and it brings us up uh, through across the bridge of the heart to the higher dimensions, to the higher, uh, also to these higher principles. So it's interesting to like contemplate how the principles go together with with the embodiment, with it, like with our actual physiology functioning. So that's what I would say. Polarity is actually more of a second principle, second chakra, and then rhythm is a heart. Everything has cycles, everything has timing. And then cause and effect, I think this one's actually in the correct. Well, no, I would say that would be the fifth one. Like because the causal is vibration. So we are producing sound with our throats, and receiving uh, through the throat chakra, and that is connected with the causal realm. And then the principle of gender is similar. This could be an interesting discussion. This is similar to polarity. Like polarity has positive and negative, gender has masculine and feminine. So this is like one of the laws, pretty interesting, like fundamental laws of creation that now like society is throwing into uh, what is like up to us to decide, like to choose and waffle between them or the sexes. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts about that.
Well, what comes to mind is also yin and yang, which is also
Mhm.
polarity, but also yin and yang relates to, the gender, I think, male, female, right? I don't know. So, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the feminine, like they say the yin, right, is all the things which are wet, which are dark, um, which are, I guess, vacuous, um, or what else? How else would you describe them? And the yangs are like hot and dry and bright. Um, and yeah, they totally correspond with masculine and feminine. But how do they differ? I wonder. Like, what are the main things that they make that like qualify them as two different principles? I don't know, things to
Uh-oh.
contemplate.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry about what I didn't hear.
My phone rang and it's probably spam.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't hear that. Anyway, I just brought this up as examples of kind of fundamental laws of creation. Also, there's also like I mentioned, gravity, uh, or like what other kind of like natural laws are there? Things that like we can't avoid or get around. Um, uh, you know, there's a big one and one that I like to focus on is free will. So, like when 2020 came along and there came government mandates that most people like thought they had to follow, at least where I was in the world. Uh, it brought into question this thing about free will, and I started studying law because I realized it's important. Like, what are the customs? Law is ultimately the agreements that we have. And I like to call it agree culture because we are creating us being the living law, and our culture that we create is this this fluid, dynamic uh, relationships, web of relationships that we all co-create together. And if there's certain customs, here maybe I could just customs in place that are acceptable at a certain time, you know, then that can be considered like the law, right? And people say like, oh, it's against the law to do this or that. It used to be like an eye for an eye, right? This in the ancient like Old Testament laws. There's all kinds of different things that we've come up with, but they come and go. And so people talk about this as positive law. And so that we draw in law a great distinction between what's natural and what's positive, meaning basically laws like gravity and like the Hermetic principles that are physical in nature, that are aspects of the universe, and those that we kind of come up with and create as part of our culture that's fluid and ever changing, or we make it so it's stuck for a given period of time, and say like this is the law and everyone accepts it, but it is fundamentally changeable. And so a great question that's fundamental about what is a natural law is like, is free will a natural law? And like some of the philosophers, teachers that I was following as I was trying to really get my bearings and thinking about freedom, when 2020 came along, and I was like, I need to really know my stuff here so I can be free. I joined this thing called Pantera de Oro, and they have an online university that's called Gemstone. And the main teacher, Kenneth Scott of the House of Cousins, had always this repetitive saying. They would say, like, we live in a free will universe. And I am inclined to believe that to be the case. And yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting inquiry. Like, what proof do we have that we have free will as souls? And is that a fundamental natural law of the universe that we have free will? And how does it express? So these are questions that I'd like to place forward, for, not just for this meeting, but, you know, as always to have in the back of our minds. And for anybody watching on YouTube, for you to question yourself and to ask others what they think. Yeah, so I mean, if we do have free will as souls in this universe, uh, what how do we how do we perpetuate that? Um, and is free will something that you want, right? Or is it too much responsibility? Are you saying something, Talisa? I see your.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, trying to have some answer because I think it's too much responsibility because free will, yeah, I think we have free will, but in the equation we have to put others because we are not living alone. So the free will is not just our by uh, our own decision. We have to put others as well. So the free will is a little bit tricky. Yeah, you have a free will, but in the equation you have to put others. So I don't know. I don't know. I think we have, but it's like not in the reality we don't. So I think in the theory we have, but in reality not because we always thinking about. So
Oh, you kind of froze up. But what you're saying reminds me of that movie Cloud Atlas, where this woman says, "From womb to tomb, our lives are not our own. We have also our ancestors." And hopefully I'm coming through. I just see you guys as frozen. Oh, I see Harlan's head moving. That's good. Yeah, let's see. That calls to mind another quote, like from Rumi, where it's about, he has this poem about the field, and part of it is even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. And he's talking about unity consciousness, place that we all come from. And that's what I was also talking about at the beginning with the like the holographic nature of the reality that we live in is that we are all one. And I think uh, a wonderful analogy is the tree, right? The great tree of life. And maybe it's more than an analogy. It's actual, uh, it's biology that we come from one tree, right? But there's many branches, and the nature of the soul is a branching of spirit into a unique expression that has a unique direction, but still is organically, totally one and the same with all creation. And so I recommend this thinker, Alan Green, and he also has a show now on Gaia. Uh, but just like on YouTube, he has this great analysis that brings his study of Shakespeare uh, in comparison with the pyramids and with the mystery of physics. And he's a musician and studying how sound interacts and creates. And Harlan is a great thinker in that too, studying geometry and music and sound and light. And um, the 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 thing that Alan presents when he's studying these things is that like we come up with these ideas that we think are just like random. Like his video is called it's called Shakespeare and the Great Pyramid, but he's talking about the universal constant of measures, and it's like the distance that we said is a foot. Like whenever we created the concept of the foot in history, as compared to the distance that we say is a meter. Whenever like you said, like the French came up with this concept of dividing the distance between the North Pole and the equator into 10 million, and that would be a meter. And it's like seemingly very random. Somebody comes up with it, but actually he demonstrates in the video how it's divinely inspired and fits perfectly in with universal physical constants. Like he takes the relationship between the volume of a sphere and compares it to the volume of a cube that fits, that sphere fits inside of the cube, so that just of each of the six sides of the cube, the sphere is just touching at one point inside it. And that ratio is the same as I think you said between the meter and the cubit, and so the cubit is this ancient measure, unit of measure that they talk about in the Bible. And so at different points in history, we came up with these like seemingly arbitrary uh, units of measurement, but actually they were divinely inspired. And so yeah, it's so interesting about free will. Like, do we come up with if I choose to go this way or that way, is it really my own decision? And like, who am I that's making the decision, right? It asks this, it throws into question the nature of identity. And that's a fundamental thing that I want to contemplate on these talks is like, who are we? Who's the decision maker in our lives? Like, it's like we have different levels of who we are. Like we have the ego mind that's kind of like the product of our biology that is about making decisions to keep the organism alive, and a whole like psychological persona that develops around that, and even a cluster of personas that we switch between based on the circumstances that we find ourselves in. But then deeper than that, and the greater part of who we are, is this transcendent consciousness that is actually the consciousness of the tree, whereas we're just like if it's a pine tree, we're just like one needle, right? Um, and how?
Something. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, we're talking about free will, right? And then something came up recently that in like kind of this shift that we're going through to fifth dimension and living in this uh this newer vibration, whatever, about, and also a lot of it is always embodying our divine self, right? And then the concept of divine will. as opposed to free will. Free will is more like an ego-centered free will, right? Our individual separate egos that, choose all the things that we want to do with free will. Divine will is kind of like waking up to our divine self and then operating and choosing things that are for the all, everything, for the benefit of all, because it's the divine. So anyway, just this concept of free will and divine will. That's what I wanted to throw out there. The concept of divine will being above free will.
Hmm. Right. And
It's
you said like as opposed to, and I think, the quest that I'm on and that I'm proposing is that we, instead of having them be opposed, right? And this
yeah,
is like,
yeah.
this is like this,
You're
this is
they're be aligned.
self-realization is to align.
That your free will embody divine will. Through free will we can choose to operate out of divine will.
Hmm.
Whatever that, yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm sorry I kind of interrupted there, but I just wanted to throw that out since that was coming up. That just came up recently, this idea of divine will. Okay.
Yeah.
So please continue.
Hmm. Yeah. And just will in general, like, will is kind of like synonymous with determination, right? It's like our it's like the dopamine is like our motivator, something that is causing us to go move. It's a masculine principle, right? It's something that's like we're choosing and taking action, right? Um, so it's interesting, as compared with, um, I don't know, what would be like the feminine polarity of will? I mean, or like the counterpart. Like if will is a masculine forward movement, it's like a holding pattern, or it's just like awareness, right? I guess. Um, and
It's interesting. What's coming up to mind also is the Trinity, the three flames of, pink, blue, and yellow, and blue being like the active will, yellow being like intelligence, and pink being like compassion. I don't know if I'm getting the exact words. So instead of there being this duality, it's a trinity
right. Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, my teacher Christoph calls it reason, will, and emotion, or
Yeah, yeah, right.
power, love, and wisdom.
Yep, yep. Oh, power of reason.
So will is like the power, right? And love is the emotion, and reason is the wisdom. And these are things that I learned. Like originally, I learned that from Rita Melchizedek, like a decade ago. Um, and she would do these beautiful meditations of like the threefold flame in the heart, power, like power, love, and wisdom. And then I learned that again from Christoph Melchizedek, and probably Drunvalo Melchizedek talks about it too. But I don't know. They all are. There's three Melchizedeks that I'm that that are alive right now that I'm aware of. And then there's probably more, but that's like where I originally got that threefold flame or three flame teaching from. And I think it resonates with me. It's like three aspects making like a triangle, and the flame, like getting into like elements in the platonic solids, like the tetrahedron, the 3D of all triangle sides, 3D shape of all triangle sides is corresponding with the fire element. And so it's like three flames. It's like this threeness is a fire. And
So from Sunray meditation, I looked it up. It talks about at the base chakra, the three sacred frames, the blue fire of will, intention, causing to be, red fire of love's wisdom manifesting compassion, caretaking wisdom for all your relations, and yellow fire of active intelligence, the means to realize good for oneself and the people. And so that's what was coming up when you asked about like what is, and I would have to say it's weird though because it's three, so it's not like masculine and feminine, but of all of those, the red fire of love's wisdom manifesting compassion seems to be very feminine of those, and whereas the
Mm-hmm.
blue fire of will, intention, causing to be is more masculine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the yellow fire of active intelligence, the means to realize good. So I don't know, but that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a trinity of the three, and that's kind of the three flames is kind of like the fleur de lis three flame, thing. So anyway,
Hmm. I like how their concept in that whoever wrote that, their concept of reason is directly connected with morality. Like it's like to realize good is like the purpose for the reason is to bless um, and to be a benefit. Um, that's something that I think a lot of people wouldn't like occur to them initially, right? They would think of reason as uh, kind of maybe like the cold, uh, the Elon Musk, like trying to find um, the most efficient way to reach a goal. And I guess we lost Talisa. And but yeah, that's a beautiful thing, and that brings up another question about morality and like is there such a thing um, fundamentally, like is there right or wrong, and how do we define it? And is it something that belongs in the realm of natural law, or is it something that's in like positive law of customs and traditions that change based on the culture at a given time? Um, yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to believe that it's more of the second. Like we change throughout the ages, kind of uh, what we accept as moral and what we don't. Um, but at the same time, it's like we could be all mistaken, right? We could all like, for example, we were all doing animal sacrifice. Is that something that's a moral act? Like, and it's like totally social acceptable, in ancient past that like it's just like that's just what you do to appease the gods, and it's a good thing, um, and it that makes me think of Gnostic teachings, uh, and I just actually heard this like kind of a much fuller story in recent times of like the origins of like the what the Gnostics call the demiurge, which is one and the same with the God of the Old Testament, right? And what I heard is I was listening to this audiobook, The Lost Books of the Bible, and it talks about how like the divine source creator um, manifested kind of like the Elohim or the beginnings of the many from one, sort of like if there was a seed that is God, uh, and it starts to sprout into a vine, and the vine has multiple leaves, then those leaves would be like the creators, like the Elohim, and one of those is Sophia. And the Gnostic teachings, and I don't know how they arrived at these teachings, but they said that like Sophia created these other sub creators, but she did it without um, without the full guidance of the source creator originally, and or at least that's at least how the Gnostics tell it, something like that. And so the demiurge was one of the like is this that's what the origins of the archons, like Sophia created these archons, and they are the source of all the like suffering and the um divergent creation in the universe, and it's turned out to be like the challenges that we overcome. And so that Gnostic teaching makes me think of the parallel in the Silmarillion, which is the history of the Lord of the Rings, the Middle Earth, and Tolkien's vision teaching about like the ancient creator god of that, his fictional reality, which is totally corresponding with our real one, of course, as all mythologies do. And so there's the creator god that he calls Iluvatar, and he has the Ainur, and the Ainur are like the Elohim, and they let's see, one of them is the most powerful one, and he has this kind of self-importance because he's the most powerful of the Ainur. He tries, Iluvata tells them to make music, and so this one, uh, they end up calling him Morgoth later. He he tries to make his part in the music stand out more. He wants to be, you know, elevated above and be the master of everything. And but uh, but Iluvatar, the true creator, weaves into that like discord that Melkor, that's his original name, Melkor creates, Melkor Morgoth. He creates this discord because he's trying to make his own part greater than the other co-creators. But it weaves into a more beautiful music that he didn't conceive of. And I think it's a beautiful parallel that Tolkien came up with. And I think that's kind of like the state of things with the archons of Sophia in relationship to divine creation, how it's like it's this hero's journey that we're on. There's like a challenge for us to overcome, or there's this great discord, or there's slavery in our world, and we it's our great opportunity to find a way to overcome that discord and that war and that on injustice. Yeah. So that's my philosophical rant. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, it's interesting. Of course, you did a better job promoting this Aquarian Roundtable with, last week with the email, and then I saw a few hours before, but it's difficult to get people. I guess I'm glad I jumped in and connecting with you. Who knows? You're doing good work, though. Appreciate that you are putting this out there. And of course, it's on
Yeah.
YouTube, so people will be able to see it while
Yeah.
it's presented.
Yeah, it's totally my pleasure, and it's a good exercise for me to kind of be in the moment and come up with concepts and that we can, questions for us to contemplate together and hopefully arrive at something that's beneficial that's going to be uh, helping us to equip us with what we need to move forward in a good way. And I appreciate that like what you shared about the threefold flames. That was an awesome contribution.
That was from Sunray Meditation Society by Dahani Oahu. And that was the part of the basic meditation practice. That's the first chakra visualization.
Cool. Hey, Lisa, thanks for jumping back on. Um, I was you yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was trying to come back, but it was I almost say I don't know if the guys is still there, but I'm gonna try. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just going until 8, and then I have an exciting. I'm going to Egypt, uh, and so there's a meeting with the other people that are on the tour. I'm
Oh,
I'm
wow.
going to Egypt in April with Jocelyn Starfeather. She has a tour called Mysteries of the Great Goddess.
Well, I never heard of her. Jocelyn Starfeather?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh.
She has a great video that is live right now. There's a free summit going on that's called Trailblazing Back to Our Roots. And it's totally kind of the same message that I'm looking to share about reconnection. And Hannah Maria spoke today. She's this great Finnish activist that's got a indigenous resurgence and uh, different movements of us reconnecting with nature, realigning, like you're talking about, aligning the personal will to divine will. And that has a lot to do with our sacred responsibility as intelligent beings on the earth. Uh, intelligent may be debatable, but you know, we can conceptualize and think in the future, and we can plan and we can make a plan to uh, increase the abundance and biodiversity rather than systematically destroying it. So um, that's the quest, and the indigenous hold the key. And so, like trailblazing back to our roots, we all come from indigenous roots. We're all indigenous to somewhere, and uh, thinking about the root words in indigenous, it's like gen, indigenous. It's like creation, and it's like kind of I interpret it as creation from within, um, like Indo meaning like within, inside, and so that's kind of like the indigenous wisdom of especially like the Aboriginal people from Australia talk about the dream-like nature, but all indigenous know this wisdom that we are dreaming our life into being as spirits, and uh, the material world it's actually subjective interpretation that we are manifesting as creators from the substrata of spiritual reality. And it's up for it's time that we come back to that awareness, and realize how we can dream together with each other and with the natural world, because there's consciousness within everything, and everything has its own special medicine. uh, all the plants and animals also connected with the stars and the different aspects of psychology. And like astrology is outpicturing of psychology, but not only of humanity. That's why it's a zodiac of animals. We are all one great being, uh, dreaming the world into existence. And uh, so thank you for dreaming with me.
Yeah, cool. I looked up, I found her website, The Sacred Planet. And it's funny, she doesn't have her Egypt tour. That's a bad link, but she does have an ancient Egypt workshop that she'll share for free if you register. So have you checked that out, her workshop? This is Jocelyn Starfeather.
The in-person, because there's going to be an
No, no,
in-person.
the in-person tour doesn't have a good link. I know you said you're going in April, but then on her
Hmm.
website, she has this link that goes to this ancient Egypt, awaken your connection with ancient Egypt, and a guided thing that she'll share with you if you fill in. It's like free online presentation and shamanic journeying practice,
Great.
and it's a video but she doesn't make it available unless you register.
Yeah, yeah. That's her introductory list builder. And there will be a conference also that another, you know, powerful woman that is exploring ancient Egypt for many years now is organizing. That will be happening in Cairo shortly before the tour starts.
Cool. Yep. I never heard of her, but she sounds good. And I found her YouTube channel as well, which is The Sacred Planet. And
Hmm.
actually, yeah, it's got lots of cool videos on that. So yeah, it's so many people doing this work. It's crazy how more and more it's like, oh, it's a little overwhelming with
Haha.
this kind of metaphysical, awakening work.
Yeah.
I mean, not a little. It's overwhelming how many you dive in and just keep finding more and more YouTube channels and more people doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we gotta get the normies' attention.
I just so I met at the Whole Life Expo, which was quite a mix. But I met this amazing trance channel, galactic oracle, quantum hypnosis practitioner named Melanie Aguera. She came and visited last night. We went and visited some of my portals, and then this morning we hung out, and she just left. She lives in New Mexico, and her is quantumdisclosureproject.com is her website. And
Cool.
so just constantly more and more people. It's just like, oh, but you can't connect with them all. And I'm the type that just likes to know about them at least, or to keep looking and seeing who's out there.
Nice, nice. My friend Glow Moss was at the Conscious Life Expo, and she's a really great, networker, and she's capturing like you're saying, you like to be aware of all these different ones, and she's
Yeah,
one.
so I didn't connect with her. Glow Moss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
She has a thing called Activate with the number 8. But anyway, you guys, thank you for joining for the third
Yeah.
Aquarian Renaissance
All right.
Roundtable.
We'll see you in the next one if I can join in. And thank you for hosting these, Keegan. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate you very much. Have a
Thank
beautiful day.
you.
All right. Much love, you guys. Talk later.